Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome back to the castle. So, going outside the walls today. See, we're going to work on the water purifier area and a bit of a farm here. So, sticking with the current theme, I'm going to do a kind of scaffold-style staircase here. Which, partway through, I actually came up with a slightly better way of doing this, but kind of wish I'd remembered earlier, actually, because the results would have been a tiny little bit tidier, but still, the principles are solid. Hindsight being 2020 and all that. We'll start at the top, get the upper level in place so we know where we've got to work with. So I'm going to use the shack floors to create a sort of nice easy path onto the top of the stairs here. Get those slightly more ramshackle ones in. Sink those down a little bit. And snap the stairs on. The idea here is to make sure that they follow the line of the wall here. And get them sat as close as possible to it, so that it's not sticking out too far and it's all reasonably secure. Also, we're working with limited space as well, so a couple of shack bridges, just snap those straight together. 2 concrete pillars, so we can lift them up high enough. And they're actually quite willing to sink surprisingly far into the wall here, so it's something to keep an eye on if it's something you'd like to try yourself. You wind up with them sticking out on the inside, so. Lined up with the bottom of the stairs, as you see, you've got the right height. Everything's nice and solid. So, same procedure underneath. Just going to manoeuvre these in. You can see the legs are a little bit wonky on these, so they don't quite line up. Which is a little unfortunate, but a little bit of eyeballing and we get it into place. You have a look at a technique just here. It is the one I was referring to just before. It's a lot easier to get the thing put together at sort of 2 high or more if you happen to be doing that. Just to put the base one in and then group select the next one on the top. As you can see, the legs will actually clip through when you do it this way. Whereas if you're trying to work from underneath, for some reason it doesn't actually want to do that. So this is by far and away the best way to do it. I could have done all 4 here in one go. And actually had it a little bit neater, but yeah, like I say, hindsight and all that. So, because I couldn't sink the concrete pillar in with the angle of the ground there, I had to just lift it up again using the bottom set of bridges. But grab it with the pillar again and just line things up. Perspective being what it is in Fallout, it's a bit of a nightmare to get the thing lined up. In this case it was actually easier from an angle. We want them as close to being the same height as possible. Unfortunately they won't clip quite through together. A little bit of floating going on, but we'll fix that in a moment. Take a quick look from the top. Not perfect, but they'll do. You can path across it, which is the main thing. It's supposed to look somewhat ramshackle, so. One of the useful things to bear in mind if you're doing this is make sure you've got enough room at this end of the sort of scaffold that we're looking towards, because first time I did this, I ended up with this second staircase where we're double back here, running straight up to the wall, and you couldn't get around the end of it, so that's why it needs to stick out a little further on the left there. We'll push these 2 a little further over, so we've got room to actually turn the corner at the end. Put this front section on. Still got a bit of floating going on, so we'll have to correct that in a moment. Being a little bit obstinate here. There we go. We got it. Nudge it in a little bit. There we go. So I couldn't get one of the regular bridges here to go underneath, so I've used the version without legs. Just group select that in, use it where it clips through the ground to provide the support. We'll be putting another one on there in a minute, so it should look fine. So with this bit, given the shape of the grassy area here and the sudden drop-off, it's a little awkward to get the concrete pillar close enough. So switch it up and do it from this end. There were a few bits where I had a bit of a problem pulling that off. So, yeah, a bit of trial and error required. It's just something to think about. See, it sort of curves in a little bit here, so we've got a bit more space to work with. I'll get that lined up. There we go. And just group select on the next bridge, because unfortunately, the next staircase rather, because unfortunately these won't snap onto the end of the bridges, which doesn't make a right lot of sense really, but It is what it is. There we go. And we're down. So tidy up this corner, put a little walkway here. Make sure everything's nice and supported. And then we're going to follow it up with another one on a bit of an angle so we can get around onto the lower edge, the sandy part here, just sort of behind the pillar there. There we go. Again, using this legless bridge. Much easier that way. Just get that, slide it in there, and then we can pass the corner. One of the good things about these particular pieces is they are very forgiving with their collision. They have no snapping either, so that's probably part of it. There we go. Need a little bit of support now. Oh, no, I'm going to put a plywood board in just to tidy up that end. Back over to toys out of the prams, pillars and supports, and actually using it for supports. We'll just group select these underneath. Nice and easy. Doing exactly what it says on the tin with these. There we go. Same thing there, just do it from the edge so that we can get the reach we need. Sorted. And we'll use one of the larger staircases again here, and we're nice and complete. Kind of lost that sentence there. So, one of the drawbacks to building around this side of the castle is, obviously, if it comes under attack, anybody can just run around and start destroying your farms and water purifiers and everything, which is not what you need, really. So we're going to put a couple of double-height junk fences here running out into the water, as presumably, given the fact it's all irradiated, NPCs in this game are not keen on swimming, so... Dead simple. Group selected in. Nice and easy. No rug glitch needed for this. In fact, I don't think I used very much rug glitch at all in this one. Same thing here. We're just going to continue the line along out into the ocean. The water actually makes it kind of deceptive as to where the edge of the build area is. You actually get a lot further out than you'd think. When it comes to building on the water, so long as you can reach the seabed, as you can see with this one, you can actually build more or less okay. There's a couple of points when the water gets deeper that's a bit more difficult, but you occasionally have to swim underneath to get the pillar back out as well, but it works. Becomes a little more difficult when you want to build something that's floating, because obviously you haven't got a surface to place the object on. Around at the other end of the castle we're doing the same thing. There we go. Nice and easy. As we saw at the start, I actually ended up changing what I did here, because this one water purifier even on its own looks rather forlorn and, well, rubbish I think is the word I'm looking for. So I added a couple more, but the principle I used for the walkway there is exactly the same as this, so a little bit of group select to get that one in, and then we'll build off of it. This one just went in nice and fine on its own. I'm going to drop the plywood board on the end there, and then just move the bridge so that it'll act like a rug glitch. And just line it up, because it won't sit quite right up against the side there. Still wants to snap. For some reason these ones leave a little bit of a gap between them. Definitely needs something to cover that up with. This next one, snap it straight on, and from this angle it'll snap straight through the ground, which is great. Come around the side it doesn't work so well, but from the top it's fine. One more board to tidy it up, or untidy it, depending on your perspective. There we go, nice and easy. So before we move on to the farm area, this little corner sticks out very, very close to the water's edge, so we're going to put a little walkway there so people don't get their feet wet. Dead simple. One staircase, one board, and just group select it into place and repeat. One of the big issues I did have with the building on this side of the castle is how's it going to work with the tide? In this case I'm working on the assumption that the tide is fully in at this stage. That way it's not going to get any higher and flood what we're building. It's the sort of headcanon I'm going with. Yeah, it makes sort of sense to me. It looks like that's sort of where high tide would be. I did want to put a high water mark in, but I didn't really have enough sort of dead tree options in the menus to do that, so that's a bit unfortunate. Back over to the pillars and supports, just to make sure we haven't got too much floating here. And a second one. If I went round to the beach on the other side, this would be much easier, but it works here. Got the next one, pillar off to the side, so we've got enough reach. There we go. Nice and easy. Now, stairs on this end are floating a little bit, so just going to add a board and another staircase. Group select it in underneath. And we won't need any supports on this one because it's buried enough into the ground that the earth itself will provide all the support it really needs. There we go. Sorted. Right, onto the farms. So this bit's reasonably easy to do. It's a little bit of fiddling around, but nothing complex to it. We're going to set them up here to follow the edge of the wall. There's a little bit of adjustment. Kind of extend it out in a second, and then so we can get a better idea of exactly where the line of this back edge is running. I've put floor pieces in first, but I'm going to take those out and change them out for shack foundations, because I had debated using what are they called? Cinder blocks to support it, but I figured given that you'd want the water to be able to get underneath without too much splashing up over the top, because seawater is probably not good for the crops, the shack foundations actually do the job better on that front. So once we've got the thing lined up, there we go, we'll swap them out. There we go. So for this next tier, I've just snapped a couple of stairs on there. Kind of hard to see through the bush, but I can't scrap that until I turn the mod back on. We're going to use the stairs just as a guideline for the height. There we go, you see it stops it going up now. There we go, and the position as well, of course. All good. And we're going to add a load more foundations, and we just need to check the line after that. Sure they match up, and you can more or less see already that that's not even close. Kind of difficult to tell with that first one with the bush being there, but it is what it is. There we go. Leaning way too far out now. So we'll adjust that and put it back into place. By the magic of cinema, we're all good. A couple of stairs so you can progress up to the top level. Well, these rocks I've actually removed using Scrap That Settlement, but they are causing issues with building, so I've had to turn the mod off, which unfortunately causes a different issue, that I can't actually sink the foundations down low enough to put an extra sort of tier on there. So I've added just an extra layer at the same height. So a few garden plots just dropped on the top, and we have our little farm area. So on a lot of beaches, particularly in the UK, and I think in other parts of the world as well, you'll see little fences running out towards the water. So I thought I'd include them just for, well, just for why not, really. But I was kind of curious as to what they actually did, so I went and Googled it. And in short, they're sand fences. The idea is to cause the sand to sort of build up against them and somewhat counteract erosion, which is kind of useful given that we've built here. You know what they say about building on sand. But yeah, there's some debate as to how useful they actually are, but it looks cool, so. So, tour time. Get a decent overview here. You can see I've added a couple more water purifiers there. Take a closer look in a moment. Have a look down the stairs. Another plywood board just for the sake of tidiness. Everything works quite nicely here. Discovered the other week that the staircases are built around the other side of the entrance to the castle. Work just fine for NPC pathing, so hopefully these will do the same. Plywood boards might be a bit more of an issue, but I think it should work. Yeah, fences running out there should keep anybody from getting around here and doing any damage. That simple walkway out the middle there, just to give them somewhere to do any maintenance they need to do. Look at they're piping it in here. I didn't want to go overboard with this little section because the obvious thing to do has been done quite a lot of times before, so rather than just repeat that, I thought I'd keep it simple. With the water purifiers, they wouldn't group select for some reason. Not quite sure why, so they just got positioned in manually. I had to do a bit of swimming and picked up an awful lot of rads doing that, but Fortunately, I'm not playing on survival mode from a building save, so it was all fine and dandy. A little bit of right away I'll fix that. Around our little walkway and onto the side of the farms. We'd better look at the sand fences here as well. Couple of little staircases, just group selected in on the edge there. Well, the top layer snapped and the ones underneath group selected in. Nice and steady. It's a bit uniform, which is the one thing I don't really like about it, but it is what it is. I've left a couple of gaps in the mute fruit plants so you can get access to the stairs a bit more easily. Or find them, probably more to the point. Plenty of corn, plenty of mute fruit. It's probably not enough to withstand any kind of siege. But I figured they'll be shipping stuff in, and I've got the radios to get the word out so they can ask for help to come and relieve them if they need it. The water tower here is, I think, from train stations really, rather than anything else, but I figured they could use it as a place to just store excess water and then keep the plants growing nice and healthy. Decent look at the fences around the side. Our options for water storage are a little limited really, so thought that added a bit more colour and character to the build. There we go, head back up the stairs. We'll get a nice little look over the top. Nice, thank you very much for watching, ladies and gents. I do hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, do hit those buttons for me. It's always very much appreciated. Find social media links down in the description if you want to keep up to date with what's going on. And yeah, do come out, check me out, come over and check me out on Twitch as well. I should be streaming a lot more, especially in the near future with Fallout 76 coming out. So for now, thank you very much, and I'll be speaking to you all very, very soon.